Bienvenue à tous. Welcome to Reporters here on France 24. I'm Mark Owen. Our report is from Mosul, Iraq's second biggest city, where the Islamic State group set up its stronghold. After 3 years of occupation by the jihadist extremists, Mosul is now free, liberated by the troops from Iraq's state army. But the price has been a heavy one for the people of the city. The years under Islamist rule were harrowing. Summary executions, barbaric punishments. The reality of the Islamic State group regime, its savage austerity, is hard for us to imagine. The battle to take back Mosul and defeat the Islamic State group was a painstaking and bloody operation. Liberation came at a huge cost. The damage caused by the coalition airstrikes to eliminate ISIS snipers, as you'll see in our report, has been extensive. A major reconstruction project is needed. All this against a backdrop of tensions, sectarian-wise, that threaten to tear Iraq apart. This is from James Andre, Abdallah Malkawi and George Ajbek in Mosul.
The Iraqi Federal Police escorts us through the ruins of Mosul's old city. Under the heaps of debris lie tons of explosives and hundreds of corpses. Bombs have left huge craters. The coalition used a large-scale aerial campaign to rout the militants who had entrenched themselves in this ancient neighborhood, originally designed as a fortress. Civilians are not allowed in. The few we see have negotiated special permission to salvage some of their belongings from the rubble.
وسمحوا لكم تدخلوا عند شلون عملتوا؟
اخذوا الهويات مالنا وقالوا
وين رجالكم؟ وين اولادكم؟
وما عندنا كلهم ماتوا.
Wider streets have been cleared, but the small alleys that lead inside the old city are impenetrable, sealed off by piles of concrete and twisted steel. At the heart of the neighborhood lies the Al-Nuri Mosque, where Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi proclaimed his self-styled caliphate. Fighting here was vicious. IS militants dug themselves in before blowing up the minaret so that the Iraqi army couldn't claim victory. They have littered these streets with mines, turning the area into a death trap.
It's a booby trap. The wire is connected to TNT. That's the detonator. It's been deactivated.
General Loai is in charge in West Mosul.
Did you go to the police station to file a copy?
He commands the 5th Division of the Iraqi Federal Police. Its mission is to secure and demine the old city so that the population can return. This civilian has been cleared to go in and collect his belongings.
We are still in the process of searching and minesweeping the old town. It will be difficult because, as you know, it's made up of small alleys and specialized machines do not pass. That's why we have to do it manually, and that takes time.
The 5 bridges that connect East and West Mosul have been destroyed. It is vital to repair them.
It's completely destroyed. It's fallen right into the river. The deck suffered damage as well as the structure. We started on August 29th, and it's going to take 6 months to rebuild.
The army has built a temporary bridge. Just a few weeks ago, the city was cut in 2. Crossing the Tigris River took hours via a bridge located tens of kilometers outside the city. Thanks to this bridge, life has resumed in some of the lesser damaged parts of West Mosul. These shops were left relatively unscathed.
We have fried chicken. It comes from East Mosul.
The power grid has been destroyed. Shopkeepers have to run generators to keep fridges and freezers going. Customers are scarce and have little money.
I depend on my children. If they have work, we eat, and if not, we don't.
What kind of work do they do?
They work in construction. They make concrete, that kind of thing.
Grocers have had to adapt.
We sometimes sell for cash, sometimes on credit. We get by. In our neighborhood, a lot of people have come back. 80 to 85% of the population has returned because the damage wasn't so bad.
There is no running water in West Mosul. The pipe network is badly damaged. Twice a day, an NGO fills this large tank that has become the heart of the neighborhood.
Nobody pays us. We do it for the good of people. They have no water.
What happened to you?
I'm hurt. During the clashes, I was wounded. Once in the leg and once in the face. I lost a nerve.
These Mosul residents are lucky. Their houses are still standing despite the heavy fighting that took place here. Some fled before IS group took control. Others stayed and lived under the jihadist rule.
They call for people in mosques. They say, come and pledge allegiance, come and do the jihad with us. Some join them, but those who think about it don't. Those who don't pledge allegiance are punished.
Were you punished?
Yes, they caught me. Once I tried to flee Mosul to go to Turkey. And they punished me. They whipped me 99 times and took my money. $2,000 US, and then they released me.
I'm a nurse's assistant. I worked at the general dispensary. I've not been paid for 2.5 years. With the Islamic State group, I was paid 50,000 dinars a month, while my normal salary is 900,000. Imagine the suffering. In the last days under the IS group, the only things left to eat were barley and wheat bran meant for animals. Rainwater was collected for drinking. After we were set free, my 13-year-old son needed surgery because of what he ate. His stomach was cut open. He had 13 stitches. His intestines were clogged.
The police's main fear is to see Islamic State group militants blend in with the residents and return. They conduct random searches of civilian homes. The risk is very real. They always carry heavy weapons. There is tension in the air. These policemen are mainly Shia, operating in a Sunni neighborhood.
Get your family out of the way, give us some space.
The policemen search for weapons or evidence of potential IS group collaboration.
We have a list to check them against. If we find wanted people, we arrest them. Otherwise, we take a note of who returns in our records.
During the fighting, this family was caught in the crossfire. Has your home already been searched?
It's the second time. But anyway, IS has not been in my house. The army was in the next road over there, and IS was just behind here. As soon as the army arrived, we fled.
The police use this stencil to paint an emergency hotline number on the walls. Residents are invited to report problems or suspicious activity. A local has just told a patrol that he has found a non-exploded shell in his garden.
Our house was bombed, so we came here to my uncle's house. We wanted to clear the garden and we found a rocket. We didn't know what to do, so we called the security forces, and thank God they're here today.
Not too close, it could be booby-trapped.
They shouldn't live here. They shouldn't have moved in.
The soldiers find an unexploded mortar shell. Any bad move could be fatal.
Take your time.
It's an 82mm mortar shell. The firing system didn't work. That's why it dug into the ground without exploding.
These minesweepers work day and night. There are tons of explosives disseminated across the city. The classrooms of this school have yet to be demined. It was due to reopen on the 1st of October, but that did not happen.
First of all, we need equipment, school supplies. We have nothing right now. Children need psychological support. Adults have been shocked by what they've experienced. So imagine what it's like for a child.
When IS took over the city, the headmaster stayed.
Schools were open, but in reality, I had 600 students at the beginning. At the end, there were only 12 left. The parents did not send their children anymore because the subjects had changed. Teaching has become indoctrination, hate, and an incentive to kill.
Did you receive your salary?
There was no pay. I was sacked for a cigarette. There were times when I wanted to die. What I saw was very hard. Very hard.
Do you want to start working again?
I want to work again. Life hasn't stopped.
Children of Mosul have lost 3 years in their curses. Some will never catch up. It will take hard work and a lot of money to rebuild infrastructure. But the true challenge lies in the ruins IS has left in the lives and hearts of the people of Mosul.
James Andre, our reporter, is here. James, thanks for your report. We've got a map to begin with to explain to people exactly how Mosul is, where the damage is, and where the problems still are. Let's take a look at that. Talk us through it, please.
Absolutely. So we have East Mosul on, as you see, on the right of that map. That's the part that was liberated first. It's in green on this map because this is where there has been obviously extensive damage, but people have been able to come back earlier, so shops are open. Life resembles normal life in Mosul. Damage has been very important, but not as important as in West Mosul, you see on the other side of the Tigris River. The old city is the part that is the most damaged. This is where you see these apocalyptic images of absolutely total wreckage everywhere. Now that part is actually banned to civilians right now. You need authorizations to go in. And the rest of West Mosul, well, has been heavily damaged, but people are very slowly coming back. The big problem is, of course, there are a lot of mines that are still there, a lot of booby traps that have not been deactivated yet. So it is rather risky to walk around that part of the city.
Old city area by the Al-Nuri Mosque, of course, that was where the caliphate was declared by Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, wasn't it? Absolutely. So obviously a place of symbolic importance, and when that was taken, obviously it sent a very strong message to the Islamic State group. In terms of the risks that you and the team were under filming there, I mean, clearly you mentioned explosives and mines, but tell us a bit more about that.
Well, there is the problem of explosives. The old city is really very dangerous. You can't pick anything up. You have to walk in the tracks of whatever security service you are actually going in with, because they won't let you go alone. And the big risk in the rest of Mosul is basically kidnapping, because indeed there are still, potential Islamic State group militants which are mixed in with the general population. Some of them has most certainly come back, even though the security forces are doing their best to make sure that there aren't any inside the city. The fact of the matter is they could organize a kidnapping operation. So the idea is to stay as little as possible in one given place in order to not give them an opportunity to take you.
The images that we're seeing, I mean, it is absolutely shocking, the extent of the devastation. And one can only imagine what it's like trying to live there, trying to rebuild your life. And then behind that, there's still this tension between Sunni Muslim and Shia Muslim. Mosul, as I understand, was mostly a Sunni city. And when the Islamic State group arrived back in 2014, some people there viewed them as, well, friends, didn't they?
Absolutely. Back then, there was a lot of tension between the Iraqi central government, which is majority Shia, and indeed the Sunni Muslims across the country, and including in Mosul. Now, indeed, when the Islamic State came into the city in the first place, they were actually more or less welcomed by the population. This is why the Iraqi army, majority Shia, had to flee before them. Now, the thing is, now the situation is reversed yet again. So it still is a Sunni population. What we saw is that the actual neighborhoods inside West Mosul are controlled by the Hajj al-Shabi militia. That is a Shia militia, very Shia militia. The federal police, which is actually controls the whole part of the city, controls the Hajj al-Shabi, are supposed to control the Hajj al-Shabi, are also Shia, but they won't walk around with flags of Imam Hussein or anything. They're going to look as much as possible as, you know, the regular Iraqi security forces. But the fact of the matter is there are still tensions, and if the situation was to reverse back to what happened before the arrival of the Islamic State group, as in the population being, humiliated by the presence of all these Shia security forces, well, a new problem could indeed occur, and that will be the game in the long run, try and fix this relation between the Sunnis and the Shia.
James Andre, thank you for that explanation. Thank you once again for your film, which, of course, you can see again via the website france24.com. This is Reporters on France 24. Stay with us.